Greetings, fellow Gorehounds, and welcome back to a Blood Splattered vlog. I'm the Horror Guru.
And I'm Count Jackula.
And today we're going to talk about Buffet Infinity, a Canadian horror film from Simon Glassman, a first-time filmmaker. Well, they've made shorts and skits, but this is their first feature-length film. And, what a film it is. Now, on paper, this movie is a story of two competing restaurants told entirely through advertisements. But in reality, it's actually an analog horror comedy. Let me explain. So, this movie is told through a series of advertisements, and we watch as the ads get increasingly more erratic, insane, and, dare I say, cosmic?
Eldritch,
Lovecraftian, until we get to the end of the story and you realize you basically have been essentially watching the rise of a Lovecraftian creature, which we'll talk more about in the spoiler section.
Yeah. You've got Videodrome now.
You've got Videodromed. So it really is an analog horror story, but most of the ads are insanely funny, and the escalation of the ads just makes it funnier and funnier. So it's kind of like SCTV.
Yeah, SCTV is probably the best fucking parallel.
100%. And I believe Simon Glassman has actually cited SCTV as one of his primary sources of inspiration.
Yeah.
So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So for those of you who didn't necessarily grow up in the 80s, there used to be a show called SCTV, which was put on by the Second City Comedy Troupe, which was largely Canadian.
Yep.
It had people like Eugene Levy, John Candy, Martin Short, Catherine O'Hara, and
legends.
Martin Short. Yeah, comedy legends were in this thing.
100%.
And their premise was that they were all working for a television station. And as each episode progressed, it just get weirder.
Yep, 100%. And this is very much in the vein of the kind of sketches and things they would do on that show. But obviously way more cosmic and way more graphic and a lot more body horror.
Yeah.
In this than there is in an average SCTV episode, or most SCTV episodes, actually.
Actually, not necessarily.
There is some.
There are some. SCTV did dip its toe into horror comedy territory a few times.
That is true. They did. It wasn't necessarily every episode, but it did occasionally happen. So you can kind of see the seeds of that in this. But I feel like most of the horror in this actually comes from something like Adult Swim, Too Many Cooks.
There's a lot of Adult Swim in this.
Stuff like Tim and Eric's awesome show.
Yeah.
Eric Andre's show. Too Many Cooks. Again, I can't cite that movie enough as an obvious source of inspiration for this movie's increasingly erratic escalation by the end of it. And for me, I thought this movie worked on all levels. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it also worked, interestingly enough, as kind of like a anti-capitalist Adbusters-esque,
It definitely feels like the kind of movie Adbusters would have done.
Exactly. Because ultimately, I feel like the message I took away from this movie is that the movie is ultimately a expression of what it feels like to live in our modern times, and our world is increasingly overrun and taken over by advertisements.
Yeah.
And corporate consolidation, companies becoming one company that consumes and controls all. And we are all but little pawns in these corporate conglomerate monstrosities. Buffet Infinity is Disney. Buffet Infinity is Microsoft. Buffet Infinity is Google.
Oh, another obvious source of inspiration, Mr. Show.
100%.
Yeah.
Good call. Mr. Show often leaned more on the dark humor. And you can see a lot of that in this too. Good call. Good call. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I think the movie works on all those levels, as a cosmic horror story, as social commentary, as well as just a funny piece of entertainment that is just utterly hilarious.
Yeah, it feels very much like a VHS segment that is expanded into an entire movie.
If I were the people who make the VHS movies, I would tap this guy on the shoulder and be like, "Hey, how about you do a segment in one of our movies?"
We'll do one of the wraparounds.
Absolutely, because this guy was fucking made to make that kind of shit.
Yes.
And I think it would be perfect for VHS. I love this movie. When I first watched the movie, I had slightly more mixed feelings on it. And then over time, my feelings got increasingly more positive. And then when you watched it, and I got to like rewatch it and notice things I didn't notice the first time around, I realized that I just utterly love this movie.
Yeah, it's a great flick.
It is surprisingly rewatchable because when you watch it the first time, it's very easy to get lost in the sauce and not really have a grounding. So you're not quite sure what you're supposed to be paying attention to and what you're supposed to be following. When you watch it the second time and you know how it ends, when you watch the beginning, everything makes more sense because now you understand what's happening.
Yeah.
And the second time you watch it makes it even more clear how coherent it is and how kind of brilliant it is. At least that was my experience. So.
Yeah, no, I actually agree. This took a lot of talent.
100%. I fully look forward to whatever Simon Glassman wants to make next.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Hey, and you people over at Shudder doing the VHS movies, talk to this guy.
Talk to him.
He would absolutely be perfect for the kind of stuff you guys do. So if anything we've said so far has enticed you to see this movie, I highly recommend you do, because we are going to move on to the spoiler section because we've said about all we can say without spoiling some of the best bits of this movie.
Yeah, because it is a comedy.
It is a comedy.
Like, all we could really do is like recount jokes that they use before we get to the spoiler section.
And if we're going to recount jokes, I'd rather do that in the spoiler section so that people can choose not to watch it if they want to, because you're probably going to want to see the jokes for yourself unless you've already seen the movie and want to hear our thoughts on them.
Yeah.
The movie is currently available to rent or buy on various streaming platforms such as Amazon, though it will be on Shudder in a couple weeks. So if you have a Shudder account, be on the lookout for that. And with that said, let us move on to the spoiler section so we can talk about how this insane movie escalates. Here we go.
Yeah, I'm a little annoyed because, like, we get right down to it. There was a stream that I was having with Yogi where we had the idea of a Walmart that was slowly taking over an entire town.
And that's exactly what this is?
That's exactly what this
Except
is.
it's a restaurant?
Except it's a buffet.
This movie is about this restaurant called Buffet Infinity, who is competing with this sandwich shop that's basically on the same block. Over the course of this movie, it slowly starts to consume all the other stores in the vicinity until it eventually takes over the entire town. And over the course of this movie, you have these moments of escalation, such as the sandwich shop owner going missing.
Yeah.
The sinkhole that keeps growing bigger and bigger in the lot behind Buffet Infinity.
Yeah.
As well as this like cult leader guy who keeps putting out all these ads trying to warn people about this thing that's coming. And the cult leader is clearly fashioned after like an L. Ron Hubbard.
Yeah, he's like L. Ron Hubbard mixed with Jim Jones.
Yes, 100%. He looks like Jim Jones.
Yeah.
But like his sci-fi books and the way he talks is very L. Ron Hubbard.
It is, yeah.
When you first start watching it, you think the cult leader is going to be like the villain.
Yeah.
But he's not really. But he also kind of is, because the movie's told from the perspective of Buffet Infinity.
Yeah.
In fact, at the end of the movie, it even says written and directed by Buffet Infinity. In Buffet Infinity's story, he is the villain of their story.
Yeah, because he's the one who's trying to stop them from manifesting.
Absolutely. And we find out at the end of the movie that he's also kind of the reason this happened in the first place, because he did some sort of like spiritual experiment on his daughter that turned her into whatever Buffet Infinity is now.
Yeah.
Which we do get a glimpse of. It's kind of like a fucking like brain-sucking looking monster. Like those D&D monsters with the mouths and the stars.
It's like a mind flayer.
Like a mind flayer. 100%.
In the ultimate confrontation between Buffet Infinity and, for lack of a better way of putting it, like humanity.
Yeah.
Like Buffet Infinity is still saying, but I have so many selections.
I have so many selections.
Like all it wants is for you to come inside the goddamn restaurant.
There is something almost Paul Verhoeven-esque about this movie.
Yes.
Like Paul Verhoeven often had movies that have like intense social commentary in them, but they want to have their cake and eat it too, right?
Right.
Like he'll make a movie like RoboCop, which is very anti-corporate policing and is very anti-ads and all that stuff, but he still clearly gets off on the action scenes.
Yes.
So RoboCop is still a badass.
Yeah.
This movie kind of has a similar thing where the movie is told from the perspective of Buffet Infinity. So from Buffet Infinity's perspective, this whole thing that's happening is good.
Yeah.
So the movie is ultimately pro-capitalist, but the meta text is that it's not good.
It's not good.
Everyone is consumed by the end and becomes one with Buffet Infinity until we're all just part of the ads by the end. All of the side characters in this, and we'll talk a little bit more about the side characters in a second, get consumed into Buffet Infinity until they are now in all the Buffet Infinity ads.
Yeah.
It's very messy, it's very complex, but it actually does work 100%.
Yeah, well, it helps that it's intentionally a comedy.
Absolutely. It just kind of adds to the satire, right?
Yeah.
But I love all the side characters in this because you don't just have Buffet Infinity and the sandwich shop and the sandwich shop owner. You also have like this lawyer character who's constantly trying to be on the side of Buffet Infinity. He wants to be on the good side of the monster, right?
Right.
He's the bootlicker to the king, you know? You also have a character who is a car salesman who is constantly in his ads playing a superhero who's fighting a supervillain whose supervillain power is to create high prices.
Yeah. Oh no, Dr. High Prices. Oh no, Captain Savings. Whatever will I do?
Those are some of the ads that are the funniest right off the bat, whereas some of the other ads get funnier the more they escalate.
Yeah, like the insurance one.
Yes.
Like there's an insurance one with this like woman who's like, have you been in an auto accident recently? And by the end of it, it's like, is your world being devoured by an entity from the nether realms? Well, our insurance company can help. They helped me.
And there's this weird subplot in her ads where I'm pretty sure over the course of her ads, she's killed every member of her family.
Yeah.
Until by the end, there's just her left.
Yeah.
Her kids are gone. Her husband's gone. It's just her.
Oh my God, my children are dead. It's a good thing that I have great life insurance.
There is a some sort of pharmaceutical ad that's all about treating depression.
Yeah.
That slowly escalates to the point where the guy in the ad by the end of the movie is like consuming himself.
Yeah. It doesn't warn you when it does this, but it kind of flips between the ads and footage of things that are really happening.
Yes, there's like actual news outlets. And then by the end of the movie, we're literally in the real world.
Yeah.
And we're watching some of these characters walking through the city, seeing what's happened to the city as Buffet Infinity has taken over. And what's happened to the city is most of the people have like fucking disappeared, presumably because they've been consumed into the ads.
Yeah.
And there are these like Slender Man-like creatures flying in the sky that are constantly playing the ads. People have to put earplugs in their ears, otherwise they will be driven mad by the fucking ads being sent through the airways.
Yeah, that's where it gets most like Too Many Cooks.
100%.
You know?
100%. And we get to see some of these characters outside of their advertisements, and probably the most like iconic one is when we see the lawyer who mentioned earlier in one of his ads that he has this deformity that he was made fun of when he was a kid, and that's why he became a lawyer. To a certain extent, that means his arc in this is kind of getting revenge on everyone by siding with a Buffet Infinity for making fun of him. But then when you see his deformity, he has like an eyeball where his dick should be. It's almost like he has a Lovecraftian deformity in and of himself. But my favorite side character in this entire fucking movie is Ahmed.
Ahmed, the guy who runs a pawn shop.
He runs the pawn shop, and he has these really funny, really dry jingles like, "Welcome to Ahmed's shop. We got good deals. Come and get your stuff."
Come and get some stuff. We've got car wheels.
It is the most Tim and Eric shit ever.
Yes.
It's kind of like anti-comedy comedy bits with Ahmed. I fucking love them. The escalation of his parts is over the course of the movie, he gets more and more stuff and his shop gets more and more bigger and filled with more and more things. And he keeps having to say, "Don't ask where we got it." And the assumption is he's getting it from all the people that are dying as they get consumed by the ads, right? That's where he's getting this shit. It's from Buffet Infinity. His shop is actually where the big climax in the movie happens.
Yeah.
When
big confrontation.
When the weird spirits of the cult leader, Langdon P. Hershey, I believe is his name, shows up and is trying to warn everyone what's going on, and then he confronts Buffet Infinity himself. I keep wanting to call it Bullet Infinity. I don't know why. I don't know why it's Buffet Infinity.
That sounds like a video game.
It does sound like a video game, right? For some reason, my brain keeps wanting to, and I don't know why. It's some sort of weird fucking, it's almost like a weird dyslexia. But anyway, he confronts Buffet Infinity, and this is where we learn basically why this is all happening, you know? Like, it was his daughter, it turned into Buffet Infinity, and then once it turned into Buffet Infinity, it wanted to become the best restaurants.
Yeah.
And started taking over everything, and now it wants everyone to be part of it. And, you know, Langdon P. Hershey loses. He gets deleted from existence, despite not believing in death. But he believes in it now.
Oh, nobody makes it.
Everyone becomes part of Buffet Infinity by the end. It wins. The villain wins. But it makes sense because it was told from his perspective.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a happy ending if you're Buffet Infinity.
Yeah. The thing about the movie that impressed me the most was how many different styles of filming were used.
Yes.
In the whole thing, and then editing it together to make a coherent narrative.
Because each ad has its own style and language to it.
Yeah.
They obviously have watched a ton of ads.
Yes.
You know, this was definitely made by someone who, when they were a kid, watched late night TV where it's like half advertisements and like infomercials.
Yeah.
And remembers what they were like. The fucking lawyer ad, pitch perfect. That's how every lawyer ad looked when I was a kid. The fucking ads for Buffet Infinity itself, you watch as they change over the course of the movie as it competes with all the other businesses. The beginning, it's almost like one of those do-it-yourself like ads you would find on like one of those local channels.
Yeah, like on a UHF, you know, like 11:30 at night.
And by the end, it's just a full-on corporate ad, right? It's like an expensive ad produced by a corporation. But in the middle, you have stuff like almost like a 90s extreme era where it's like a Chuck E. Cheese ad for kids and whatnot.
Yeah, because it absorbs the nearby arcade, and then all of a sudden Buffet Infinity has an arcade.
They have an ad that's almost like the kind of ads that would run during like the Super Bowl, where it's just like a burger, and like they keep adding toppings to the burger until it gets just utterly ridiculous.
And then we put an octopus arm on top of it, you know?
But I like that when you watch it, you can trace the narrative, because in that ad, it is reacting to the fact that the sandwich shop had just introduced a really big sandwich.
Yeah.
And was constantly advertising its like homemade sauce. It's like very special Italian sauce. So in the ad for the Big Impossible Beyond Comprehension burger, as it's called, it's just adding more stuff to make it the biggest burger possible, while also bitching about having to put this stupid fucking sauce on it. Yeah. So you can see how Buffet Infinity itself is almost getting increasingly more desperate in its advertising.
Yeah. It's just trying to beat everybody.
100%. You know? 100%. Buffet Infinity is not good. Consuming all other restaurants until there's only one restaurant, Buffet Infinity, is not good. Yeah. You don't want everything to be Taco Bell.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, that'd be a bad thing.
That is a Lovecraftian nightmare, is what this movie posits. And with that said, my fellow gorehounds, y'all know me. I'm the Horror Guru. You can find me at the Horror Guru on various social media platforms. But these days, I primarily use Blue Sky, so follow me on there. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to ring that notification bell so you're notified of my videos immediately upon their upload. And if you'd like to help out either of us more directly, be sure to check out our Patreon pages. And remember, if you decide to go the Patreon route, even $1 a month can go a long way, but we will certainly accept more. And with that said, my fellow gorehounds, if you made it this far into the video, then I want you to comment below, and be sure to comment below using the hashtag Bullet Infinity, which has nothing to do with this movie. It is just the way my brain wants to read the name of the movie for some reason. Yeah. I don't know what that is, but it is stupid. Yeah. So use the hashtag Bullet Infinity. It'll confuse everyone who didn't watch the full video, and that just makes the hashtag even better. And with that said, my fellow gorehounds, peace out, and we'll catch y'all later.